Hello, my name is Colleen Reynolds, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about how to get started in creating a PowerPoint file for your ART100 Visual Art Foundation's final project. So I'm going to start it from creating a blank document and then adding information. So if we want to start from scratch, so we're going to create a new document, and we want to do a blank presentation. I'm going to double click on the blank presentation icon, and it brings up this standard formatting that's designed for a widescreen television. For our application, we want to change the layout a little bit. So we want to go into the design tab because we don't want that long and narrow orientation. We may want to change our design slide size. So we're going to go to the design tab. So this is the menu bar, and this is another menu bar that brings up different toolbars. So we're going to go to the design tab, and then we're going to go to slide size and do a page setup. So instead of doing the standard ones, we're going to set it up so it prints out on a page of paper that we in America use, which is 8.5 by 11 inches. So it's 8.5 inches tall or 11 inches wide. We can change that. Would you like the scale? Let's go ahead and say scale up. So now we have an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that we're going to design this for. So the first thing we want to do is figure out our title. So the title of the whole document, is going to be the title that incorporates our theme. So let's say it's a car show. And then the subtitle would be Colleen Reynolds, ART100, maybe spring 2018. Whatever you want to put in the subtitle. But the title of the whole book, so we're going to add to this same file as the semester progresses. So we want a title that encapsulates our whole semester theme. Car shows for artists. How about that? Something that encapsulates your theme. So maybe I want to change the text font format. So the way you do that is, so these are called objects, text boxes specifically. You can have objects that are pictures or tables or other things. These are a text box, and it's formatted so that the text is aligned at the bottom of the text box. You can change that as well. Sometimes if you click, there's two ways. If you click inside, you can adjust the text. If you click on the edges of the box, you can adjust the whole box at once. And if you hit right click, it brings up a little pop-up menu that you can change some of those things. So let's see what we can do. We can reorder the objects, we can group, we can bring to front. If I bring to front, that brings this object to the front of the page, and others might go behind it. We can save it as a picture. Let's format the shape a little bit. Let's see what happens when we bring up the format. We can put a fill in it. We can have a solid fill, and we can make it a different color if we want. By choosing a different color here, maybe we want it to be this color. Maybe the line, maybe we want a line on the outside. Maybe we don't. Maybe we want no line. So you can do some things to the text box itself. You can do a pattern fill or picture texture fill. So maybe you want a gradient fill, something. You can do all kinds of little fun stuff. You can change the color at the beginning and at the end by changing the colors here. Maybe you want a yellow instead of blue. And then maybe you want to format this, format the text effects. You should be able to adjust how it's formatted on the page. So wrap text in the shape. You can change the top margin so that it's 0 and the right margin so that it's 0. You can do the, oh, here we go, the top margin 0. I want to get this so that it is centered on the top. Anyway, so you can change how the text appears. You can change the font of the text. Here you go back to the Home tab and you can change the font. Say you want it to be Times New Roman instead of what there is. I suggest that you don't change the fonts too often within one document, just for consistency's sake. Sometimes if you click too much, you get this little spinny thing. So I would suggest if you're going to change it there, change it everywhere. Okay, so that's just some ideas for the title slide. Here you can undo changes if you want to. You can change it back to no. So here we go. Let's do fill effects. You can say no fill, so you can go back to where you were. Alright, so now we want to move on to the content slide. So this is just the title slide. So to get to the next one, you want to insert a new slide, and maybe you'll want to, there's your text slide. Maybe you want to do a graph or a picture, or here's an image, here's a graph, here's a file, here's a movie. You can do all kinds of different things inside that object box. So let's go ahead and put our title. So our first assignment is format, shape, and line. So this is just our very first thing that's taken up a lot of real estate on our page. We're going to have to put a lot of information in there, so maybe I want to make that size of the font a lot smaller. Anytime you do something you don't want to do, don't forget the undo button. I'm going to go ahead and pull that back out again. Maybe you want to make the size of the font much smaller. So we're going to do this as if it's a file to read rather than a file to present. So let's go to the home and let's do it instead of at 40. Maybe we want to do 16 for our format, shape, and line because that's the title. And then I'll move the title up. Now, I'll spend a lot of time formatting my first page. Maybe all my titles I want them to be bolded, so I can bold there. And maybe I want to center this text on the page, so I can go to this arrange button and align it so that it's centered on the page. And the same thing with this. So maybe I want to do a text box on this side. Maybe I want to set up 3 equal columns. So I can go to my view and turn on my ruler so that I can get an idea. So the whole thing is, there's the center. Maybe I want to, if I grab this and do the same thing again, align this to the center. I think it needs to be a little skinnier in order to fit 2 more. So once I do the shape, I'm going to align it to center again, and I want to keep a margin, but maybe I want 3 columns of text. So instead of redoing them, I'll make sure they're all the same. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to move that. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to copy it and paste it so I get another one. Oops, keep grabbing the wrong one. Apologize. So make sure you get the grab bar, and I'm going to move that over there. So it's not giving me the opportunity to copy it until I put something in it. So let's say format, and maybe I don't want the bullet. So how do I get rid of the bullet? Go back to here. There's a little toolbar to, it's like a toggle. It turns it on, it turns it off, and you can adjust the bullets if you decide you want bullets to be off and on. So it won't let me copy it until I have information in there. So this is 16 font, so I want to make sure that this doesn't compete with that. So maybe I want to make this one 14. So everything about that first column will be about shape. And maybe now I can copy, there we go, the text box. And once again, I have this text box, so maybe I want to center it, align it to the center, but I also want to align it to the middle of the page. Maybe not. Maybe I want to, if I hold the shift down and select the first one, I want to make sure they align together. So I'm going to align that to top. So I'm going to align the tops together, and then move them together. So now I know these two text boxes will be nice and lined up. It'll be like a newspaper. So let's see if we have enough room for the third column. We might have to adjust the size. So I've copied and pasted that one, and I've moved it over there. Now I'm going to select the other two, holding the shift down, and once again I'm going to align all three text boxes to the top. And then I can also, now that I have them all selected, I can do this thing called distribute horizontally so that they're distributed evenly across the page. So the same spacing between columns. And then if I right click, oh, it won't let me do it. So I'm going to select all three again. I'm going to go to the align again, and now I want to group those together. So I'm going to right click. Well, I have them three selected. I'm going to right click group. Just for now. It's not letting me do it. So click off. So click, shift hold, right click, shift hold, shift hold, right click, group. I don't know why it's not letting me group. Okay, for now I won't do that. So now I want to, maybe the next column will be shape terms and the next column will be line terms. So that's my format, shape, and line definitions. And so how do I get those definitions? Remember from our on your Canvas page, you want to pull up the handouts menu or the handouts files. I also have them on my computer, so I'm just going to find them on my computer, which is under my WNC classes for spring. I'm going to find my spring handouts. So here is my format, shape, and line handouts, scale, handouts, color, handouts, format, shape, and line is what I'm looking for. There we go. So I'm going to pull that file. This is a separate PowerPoint file. And I'm going to select all my terms, go inside the text box. So this is a PowerPoint file. Oh, this is a PDF file. I apologize. I want the format, shape, and line. So I'm going to arrange these by kind so I can presentations, scale and proportion, format, shape. So here we have all the definitions, so you don't have to retype everything. So I would say go in here, copy the text, minimize that for a second, go inside your text box and just copy the text inside there. And I recommend taking off the toggles, changing it to 11, maybe 10-point font. You can do your view so that you can zoom in to 200 so you can see what you're doing. So you have all that text, so you don't have to retype it, you can just format it. So what are the terms? So you have the surface. So now format got really small, so let's move that back up to 11 font. And let's format everything. So what is surface? Surface is the outer layer of the object. And you want to just adjust this until you get it so that, so you don't have to retype the text, but you need to get all these definitions. So we want to talk about picture plane. So also known as picture plane, or okay. So then we have our shape definition. Here's our form definition. Here's our definition of composition. Here's our definition of figure. So I don't recommend you retype everything because you already have the information. So you don't need all the details, but you do need all those. Let's click on the out and see if it'll keep the font the same. It adjusts it according to the box that it's in. So we have figure ground reversal is another term. So there you go, I've got all those format terms already into that column. Okay, then I'm going to go back to the second file. And those are some terms there. Let's see what shape terms are. So rather than retype all this information, I'm going to copy that, minimize the second file. Now I'm going to go into my shape text box and I'm going to paste that information. And once again, I'm going to format that. So first thing I'm going to do is take all the information and change the fonts. Take off the toggle, remove the bullets. So this was shape. Definition was geometric shape. What's the definition? Delete. So you don't have to make it super specific. You can put it in paragraph forms. But you need to put in all the definitions. So what's the definition of zoomorphic shape? Is an animal-like shape. It could just give the impression of an animal. What's the definition of anthropomorphic shape? It could just give the impression of a humanoid. Curvilinear shape. Rectilinear shape. So you need to do all these definitions. And again, instead of retyping everything, just copy and paste it within your window. So hopefully this will let me change the font to 11. So just be consistent. The font to 11. Format is the outer edges of a composition. And so on and so forth. So there you have all your definitions. And look at all the space. So let's go ahead and zoom out now. Zoom out so that you can get a view of the whole thing. So let's go to 66% and see if we can see the whole slide. So you can see there's a lot of extra space. And if we pull these text boxes up, maybe you want to put line over there in the third column, I'll let you do that. But it gives you a lot of space to put images. So let's pick a picture, any old picture. I'm just going to pick any old picture at this point. Let's see. I'll go to my spring images. and let's just pull in a picture. So now I can insert a picture, and maybe I'll want to use that as an illustration, put it right underneath that format field, and I'll create a text box by inserting, I can insert a text box below it so that the font is, say, directed attention. Let's say figure 1 example of directed attention. And then I want to change that to the right size font. So before I had 11, so let's make this 10.5. And now I want to make sure I attach this text box to this picture. So if I move the picture, I move its caption as well. So I'm going to go to this align thing. I have them both selected. So how do I select two objects together? I click on one, then I hold down the shift key and then click the other, and I'm going to group them together. So now this becomes one object that moves together. And I want to make sure I align this to the text box. So, sorry, before I group, that reminds me, before I group those, I'm going to ungroup them. So right click to get the short menu, you can ungroup or group. Let's align those to the left. So we can align those two objects so that they align left. Or I can do it so that they align to the center. However you like to do it. I actually like them aligned to the left. Now I'm going to group them. So you want to do your alignment before you do the group. And then I'm going to select the text box too. So I'm clicking one and then holding the shift key down and clicking on the other object. And now I'm going to align those to the left, just to make sure my image and my text box are nice and in alignment. And I can put another, so I've put in my line definitions, pretend, let's put another image in this column. So let's go ahead and insert an image. So I'm going to insert a picture from file. I'm going to go to my spring images. Let's say I want to do this. It has something to do with the discussion at hand. So I'm going to take this image and I'm going to align that to this column. But maybe this time I want to put the image at the top and the text below. So I'm going to catch the grab. So I want to select the two. I'm going to align them so that they align to the left. And then I'm going to put my caption in. So how did I do that? I put the I insert a text box, put it below, and I'm going to say figure 2 golden mean spiral. Oops. Undo if I do something I don't mean to. Click the outer edge, change the font size to 10.5, move it up, click the image itself, align the images to the left, right click, group, click on the text box, align to the left. So now I can select these two, group them together, right click. So I'm inside the text box I don't want to be, so I'm going to click on one, click on the other, right click, okay, click on the other, right click, group. So once again I can do that distribute thing, so I make sure the spacing is still the same between. So I'm going to click on the outer box edge, holding the shift key down, I get all three. I didn't group this one first, so let me group this. Sorry. right click group. Okay, it is grouped. So this should move as a column. No, it did not. Group, ungroup. Okay. It's not feeling like it's grouped. Okay. Right click, group, regroup. It's not grouped. Why is it saying it is? Group. So I can move this without moving the text. That's not right, but let's see if I can group these two together. Group. Okay, so those are grouped together. These are grouped together, and this one is a group. Now I want to do that distribute thing again. Align, distribute evenly horizontally, so that these all line up perfectly. And then again, I can align the tops to make sure that the tops of my text boxes are aligned to the top. So there's one page. Now, I've told you that I don't want you to do a background that is common to PowerPoint. I don't want you to find a background that's PowerPoint. I want you to put in a background that is your own. So say you have a little tiny picture. So spend time formatting this first page. So for instance, say you want to always have the header centered on the page overall. So I'm going to click the outside edge of the text box, and I'm going to center that. And maybe that wants to be all one color. So let's go to the text box. We can go to the fill. Let's do a gradient fill. Not a gradient line. No line. We want to have a gradient fill, and we want the color to be green because we're doing things with green. And so there is something that is common to you. You didn't use a standard PowerPoint background, you used your own background. You created your own. So maybe you have an image that is going to be common to every slide. So you're going to say, let's see, what images do I have in here? So maybe yours is about fruit. Your theme is about fruit. So every single page is going to have an apple down in the corner. Maybe it's your logo if you have a business name. Maybe you want it here, but every page will have it. So we want to make sure we put that always in the back. So we're always going to send that to the back of the page. It's going to show up on every page. Maybe that will be your page number. Let's see if we can insert page numbers in a PowerPoint slide. I'll have to look into that to see if you can do a pagination so it will, oh yes, so slide number. You can say every slide has a slide number and it starts at 2. So you don't want a page number on the title slide, you just want it on every page that comes subsequently. So you can put it as a footer, or you can say page number starts at 1 and don't show the title, don't show on the title slide. So, and we want to apply to all pages. So see how it's showing here? It'll show up in the footer, and we're going to apply to all. So we're going to have a footer, and every page is going to say Colleen Reynolds, and then whatever my title is, car shows for artists. So I have a footer that's common to every slide. And maybe I want to always have the page number be, let's make it a different color and a different size. So let's make the color change to red. And I want to bold that, and I want to make it a little bit bigger. so that I can see it. So I'm going to make the bold number 16. And I want it to always show up on top of the apple. So I'm going to group my page number. So I'm going to take my footer and my apple, and I'm going to first align them to right. No. Let me see. So I'm just playing around here, and you can see in how my mind works. So I want this page number to show up really well on top of my apple. So I might have to do the text box with a fill that is a solid fill, and the color is going to be white. So now this should have a page number that's white background. So let's move it over and click the outside. So now, yeah, that's good. So now my little 2 page number is always going to be white inside the apple. So obviously I'm mixing my themes here, but I want to make this as small as possible. And then I'm going to select the apple and the page number, and I'm going to align them to center, and I'm going to align them again to middle, so they're aligned top and bottom. But I don't like the way that looks because my apple isn't completely centered. So I'm going to look at, so every page is going to show up on the apple, and I'm the fruit, and my overall title will always be on every slide. And I'm going to make sure that I group that I don't know if that'll show up on every slide if I do it that way. But anyway, so there's my page number for each page. So if I insert a new slide, actually I want to copy or duplicate a slide. Let's see if it changes the page number. So now I'm in that. So now it changed the page number automatically to 3. So you only have to do the insert the footer page once, and it always has my my footer on every page. I can also do a header on every page as well. So there's how you do a common formatted thing. So you want to make sure that I probably want to squish my apple down a little bit so it's not taking up too much of my page. I'm going to have to stop this recording now.